Everyone's always talking about planning a trip to the Florida Keys, and it's a beloved travel destination, but there are some things that they might not be telling you. In this video, we are going to be going through some of the biggest mistakes to avoid when planning your vacation in the Florida Keys that you must know before you go. And yes, some of these do have the potential to impact your experience when on your trip. Are you ready? Let's get started. Mistake number one is going to the Florida Keys and expecting there to just be miles of white sandy beaches. And I know you're gonna be like, but it's Florida, that's what you guys are known for. And you will be correct, but you will not be finding this in the Florida Keys. The reason for the lack of white sandy beaches in the Florida Keys is because of a stunning live coral reef that extends from Key Largo all the way down to the Dry Tortugas, and this covers many, many miles. Now, the geology of the Florida Keys also comprises of coral limestone and sand, and this mixture together does not make for beautiful white sandy beaches. But what it does make for is absolutely fantastic snorkeling and scuba diving out on the reefs. But if you are looking for beaches, there are some in the Florida Keys. You just have to know where to look. My all-time favorite beach is Dry Tortugas National Park. The beaches here are beautiful, white and sandy, and the snorkeling here is absolutely incredible. Now, if you are looking for beaches specifically in Key West, I can recommend Smathers Beach, although a lot of people like to hate on it. I personally like it, and the sand is really nice. And Fort Zachary Taylor State Park, which is absolutely beautiful water. And if you can't afford or you can't make it out to Dry Tortugas, that's okay. You can still see a fort on the water at Fort Zachary in Key West. Another great beach option is Sombrero Beach in Marathon, and one of my favorites in the entire state of Florida is Bahia Honda State Park. This state park is home to some of the most stunning crystal clear water in the Keys and beautiful beaches. So now you know, don't go into the Florida Keys expecting miles of white sandy beaches like in other parts of the state, but there are beaches that you can explore, and the best part is snorkeling. So why not visit the Keys for that instead? If you're enjoying learning about mistakes to avoid in the Florida Keys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Mistake number two is driving the 7-mile bridge at night. Now, a lot of people, including me, are doing the Florida Keys in a road trip style, and there are so many incredible stops at the upper Keys and middle Keys before you get down to the 7-mile bridge. So it is very tempting to spend the majority of your day in the upper and middle Keys, seeing all the amazing things there are to see, and then hitting the 7-mile bridge at night. Or alternatively, spending the whole day in Key West and hitting the 7-mile bridge at night on your way back to Miami or wherever home is for you. Now, this is a huge mistake because the 7-mile bridge, which is part of the famous Overseas Highway, is totally deserving of its own stop. There are so many things to do, and you really want to see it during the day where you can see the beautiful blue water that surrounds it. Plus, there are things that you can even do on it and in the surrounding area. There is a parking lot, and it is free to visit the bridge, and you can walk for 2 miles each way, and at the end, you can arrive at something called Pigeon Key. Alternatively, you can also take the Pigeon Key Express, and you can ride the tram and explore this stunning historical island that is right in the middle of the 7-mile bridge. Now, of course, you don't have to explore Pigeon Key, but you can walk the bridge and enjoy the beautiful blue waters that surround it, and I highly recommend a stop on any Florida Keys road trip. It would be a mistake to miss beautiful views like this. Mistake number three is assuming that all key lime pie is created equal, and I can tell you from experience that it is not. Now, I have eaten my way through the Florida Keys multiple times. I have tried all sorts of different key lime pies. Some is the best that I've ever had, and some is not so great, and you definitely don't want to waste your money on key lime pie that isn't great. So let's get into where you should go so you don't make this mistake. We're going to start off strong with my number one recommendation. If you want to try the best key lime pie in the Florida Keys, head to Moondog Cafe in Key West. You can get it to go or you can stay there and eat it. It is absolutely incredible. There is a giant tower of meringue on top of it that is toasted to perfection, and it's the perfect blend of sweet and tart. Next up, we have Mrs. Mac's Kitchen, which is located in Key Largo. This key lime pie here had a whipped cream topping. It was really tasty, and you should definitely get some of their seafood at Mrs. Mac's too. It was incredible. Following down the Florida Keys Overseas Highway, we have the Blonde Giraffe, which is located near Isla Mirada. This is also a great stop too, a little touristy, but touristy for a reason and totally worth it. Back in Key West, we have Blue Heaven, which, like Moondog, also has a giant tower of toasty meringue. I could barely hold it still. It was just jiggling around because it was so tall and it was so tasty. Out of the two, I do prefer Moondog just a tiny bit more, but this is still an incredible option. And finally, we have Four Marlins. This is a more subtle flavor and it was really great. The meringue to key lime pie ratio was literally perfection, and this one was incredible, and you can eat it with views of the ocean. There are so many touristy places in the Florida Keys to get key lime pie, and they're not always the best. And if you're paying $10 to $15 a slice, you deserve the best experience possible. So I hope you don't make this mistake and you take my recommendations instead. Mistake number 4 is not booking your dry Tortugas transportation well in advance. And I say this because I have also made this mistake myself on a previous trip to the Keys, and this is not a mistake you want to make because Dry Tortugas National Park is totally worth a visit. You want to make sure you're able to go. The two main ways that people get to Dry Tortugas are number 1, taking the ferry boat, or number 2, taking the seaplane, and both of these sell out extremely quickly. Now, unless you're super rich and you want to charter a boat to take you, which costs many thousands of dollars, or you want to take your own boat, which that's incredible, I want to be invited, these are going to be your main options for getting to Dry Tortugas. Both the seaplane and the ferry boat sell out months in advance, so this is not something that I would wait till the last minute to book. And if you are looking to visit the Keys and you know your dates, I would go ahead and secure a booking for one of these two right now well in advance, because they do sell out quickly and there are very few people that cancel, so you aren't really able to get in last minute. Trust me, I've tried. Dry Tortugas National Park is one of my favorite travel experiences ever. I have been back multiple times. It does come at a high cost, but I find it very worth it. This is a total bucket list experience, and if you want to experience it as well, please don't make the same mistake I did and book your transportation in advance so you can go too. Mistake number 5 is trying to drive everywhere while you're in Key West. Now, Key West is an incredible area, but it is the most popular key in the Florida Keys, and it can get extremely congested. So it can take a really long time to travel from point A to point B. And the parking here is incredibly expensive. I'm talking like sometimes $20 an hour. So what do you do instead? My biggest tip for getting around Key West is to leave your car at your accommodation or your hotel and rent bikes. This is such a great way to see the city, and renting bikes often costs way less than the cost of parking, and you won't have to be searching forever in downtown trying to find a parking lot that even has availability. How do I know this? I know this from experience because I have done this on previous trips as well. Of course, you can always rent a regular pedal bike, but I recommend looking into renting an electric bike for an even easier time of getting around Key West. Now, a lot of the sites in Key West are concentrated in a smaller area and are kind of around Duval Street, so a bike just allows you to get around from point A to point B so much easier. You won't have to worry about parking, and it's just a really great, fun experience. Mistake number 6 is not wearing reef-safe sunscreen. So remember, we were talking about why there are no beaches in the Florida Keys that are really great, and it's because of this live coral reef. We want to keep this live coral reef alive, and it is experiencing a lot of damage in recent years, and that is really sad. But we can all do our part, at least a little bit, by wearing reef-safe sunscreen during our visit. I do recommend buying your reef-safe sunscreen online in advance because it is way more affordable than if you were to buy it in the Keys. Now, they do have it at lots of places in the Keys. If you forget it, not a problem, not to worry. But again, they are pricing for tourists who forgot. And again, I have paid a lot of money for sunscreen in the Keys when mine ran out. So don't make this mistake and just buy yours in advance. Mistake number 7 is not renting a car to explore the Florida Keys. Now, this mistake may or may not apply to you. Some people just want to go into Key West, have an incredible weekend getaway, or go to another resort and have an incredible trip, and that is totally fine and totally valid. But for the rest of everybody that is watching, that is considering or on the fence about a Florida Keys road trip, please do it, whether it's in a rental car or in your own car. This is an absolutely incredible experience. Having a car in the Keys allows you to more easily explore sites that are off the beaten path that you may not have gotten a chance to otherwise see on a tour or with Uber or bike rental. And again, the Florida Keys are kind of a big place and there is so much to explore. You'll never be able to see it all, but a car will give you a much better chance at seeing some of these super cool hidden gems. The Florida Keys are truly such a special place with pristine, stunning, crystal clear blue waters to the cutest beach towns that you've ever seen, but there are some mistakes to avoid and things that you deserve to know in advance of planning your trip. If you love visiting the Florida Keys and you have other mistakes that people should avoid, or you're planning your vacation to the Florida Keys and this video helped you in any way, I would love to hear from you in the comments. And I would also like to ask if you could please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time for more Florida fun. Bye!